Hi, welcome to my channel Mostly Knitting. I'm Tash, and if you're new here, this is a podcast where I talk mostly about the knitting that I've been doing during the week, and I also put out regular tutorials on techniques that I might have used or answering questions that people have asked me. So it's Wednesday the 3rd of January and I'm recording from Sydney, Australia. So Happy New Year. I'm sort of back to my regular schedule. I will have a Japan video coming out on the weekend, but I'm back to my normal recording on Wednesdays with my normal segments. So I'm going to jump straight into what I usually start with, which is my finished objects. So I finished the Alpine Bloom top by Caitlin Hunter, and I used Madelinetosh Tosh Merino Light. In the base colour is Nocturne, and this contrast colour here is Peach Bellini. And I used about 1 1/4 skeins of the Nocturne and about half a skein of the Peach Bellini, and maybe even a bit less than half a skein. And I'm really happy with how it came out. I'll stand up and show you. So the only thing that I really did differently was I did a different trimming. So the pattern has some lace at the, so I'll put a picture of the pattern up as it's designed, and I changed the lace detail to just a twisted rib. So just a single twisted rib, and I just did a long tail cast on. I'm not sure what the needles are for the pattern. I used a 3mm needle for the ribbing and a 3.5mm needle for the body. And I can't remember if the pattern tells you to. Some patterns do tell you to go up a needle size if you need to for your gauge for your color work. But I find with the way that I knit color work, I use my the main color in my right hand and the contrast color in my left, and which is the way you sort of usually want to have it in that kind of placement for the contrast color to pop, because it sort of carries underneath the main color. Because that yarn's in my left hand, it just has that little bit further to travel, so those stitches are a little bit looser, or at least the floats are loose enough so that I don't need to go up a needle size. And I'm really happy with it. Was a lot of color work. There was 59 rows of color work, and I was a bit over it by the end, but I'm really happy with how it came out. It's just got this lovely detail. I really like all the little leaves at the bottom. Sorry if there's a bit of background noise. It's school holidays at the moment, and my son has a friend over, and they're downstairs in the garage playing ping pong or darts or both. My husband is down there. They're 16, right? So they're not little kids, but my husband is down there making sure that they're all fine. But you might just hear a bit of screaming when somebody's made a bad shot or whatever in ping pong. Right, so anyway, back to this top. Let me just see, what else did I, so I knit the size 36, which is the smallest size, but my gauge was a bit tighter, so it ended up about 32, 33 inches, which for me is, only about an inch of positive ease, and that's totally fine. This is kind of a navy color, so I plan to wear it with, I'm wearing it with some shorts here because it's summer and it's hot, but I do have some navy work pants. But the color's just a little, I don't know if you can see, this is a true navy, and there's definitely green. There's green in the Nocturne, so it doesn't quite, but it's fine. It's still probably what I'm gonna wear it with, and I still think it looks nice. So so that's my first finished object. I actually have 2 more. One of them is, I won't keep this on very long because I've got the air conditioning on at the moment, because it's about 31, 32 degrees here, which is almost 90 degrees Fahrenheit, so it is quite warm. So I might, even with the air on, I might need to take this off, so we'll see how we go though. So my second finished object is the Manhattan hat by Tori, and I used Rerum Natura Gilliatt in the colorway Ciel, C-I-E-L. Ciel, it's like, I don't know what that means actually. I think maybe winter or snow or something. Anyway, yes, so I tried this on before blocking, and I haven't tried it on since blocking, and I only just blocked it yesterday, so I might try it on now, but we'll see how we go. So the thing that I was a bit unsure about this pattern, it's a pretty standard 1x1 rib hat pattern. I used I cast on with a 4mm needle using Judy's Magic Cast On, because I just didn't want that to be tight because it folds up. And what did I do? I cast on 104 stitches using Judy's Magic Cast On a 4mm needle, and then I switched to, after I did the first round, then when I started doing the ribbing, I switched to a 3.75. So the rest of it's knit on a 3.75. And the main part of the hat is these decreases sort of leading into this sort of 1 by 1 rib. And then I did have to Kitchener the top in rib. So yeah, I was a little bit, I don't know, I'm not 100% happy with it. I'm gonna have another, I definitely am gonna make this hat again and I'll have another go at it. Because I do have a little technique for lining up the knits with the knits and the pearls with the pearls, but it doesn't look as good, or it looks half a stitch off. And I'm pretty sure there's a way that I can do that so that it doesn't look that way, that it looks seamless. So I just need to go back and have another go at it. I won't bother ripping this one out. I'll just make another one. And yeah, you can't, it's not too bad. It's just a little bit like half off. Anyway, we'll see. So with this pattern, you can do with no brim, single fold brim, or double fold brim. I just chose the single. I thought that would be enough. And I also wanted to leave a little bit of this yarn left over to swatch for Snow Wonder, which is another pattern that I want to make with this yarn when I buy some more. Right, so I'll try it on. Let's see how we go. So the thing that I was a bit unsure about with this pattern is the little peaky bit, this sort of, you know, that, what do you call it? I don't know what it's called, a sticky uppy bit. And yeah, I think it's, I don't know, it's definitely a look. It does remind me of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs with their little caps. But I don't know, I like it. This is my first try on. It's after blocking that sort of a little bit higher. I guess maybe it's just stretched out just a tiny bit. I really love this yarn. It's beautiful, beautiful yarn. I'm trying to see what this actually weighed. Sorry, I'll just really quickly check what the hat weighed, because it used less than one skein. One skein of this is 250 meters, and it weighs 73 grams, so that's 183 meters. So most DK or light worsted yarns have at least that much, so you should be able to get this hat with one fold out of one skein of yarn. And oh, actually, I made a note. The decreases used 10.5 grams. So I find that actually quite helpful for me, especially if I'm playing a bit of yarn chicken with maybe I don't have a full ball of yarn. At least if I know, all right, if I leave about 11 grams for the decreases, I should be fine. Yeah, so that's the Manhattan hat by Tori. And yep, that one's finished. And my last work in progress, sorry, that's going to take a little bit of just fluff my hair after that. My last work in progress is my Skimmer socks. I think this is my 4th pair by Sheila Stromberg. Sorry, someone's in the kitchen making lunch. By Sheila Stromberg, using Wren and Ollie sock in the colorway Cinnabar. And I had plenty of yarn for this, but these 2 socks, each one was about 16.5 grams. So 30 for these 2 socks, 33 grams total. And I've mentioned before, I really love this pattern. They're no-show socks that do not fall down into your sneakers. And the last couple of versions, I haven't even done, there's like a little tab at the back with some short rows. I haven't even bothered, because I tried one when I was running short of yarn with my last pair, and I just skipped that bit, and I didn't, they don't fall down either, so you don't really need that. So I knit the sock on a 2mm needle, sorry, 2.25mm needle, and then I knit the ribbing on a 2mm needle, and then bind off pretty tightly. The only thing, this pattern is really good for walking and knitting for most of it. The only bit that I really can't do is when walking, is where I pick up the stitches along the side. And then by that stage, I'm almost finished actually, because once you've picked up the stitches, then you do the ribbing, and it's 6 rows of ribbing and then bind off. So yeah, so I've already, you'll see in my whips, I've already got another one on the needles, and because I would like to have more of these in my wardrobe. So I really rate this pattern. It's a really good one. Okay, so I think that's it for my finished objects for the week. So before I start talking about my works in progress, I thought I'd just mention with Alpine Bloom, what happened was when I was taking it off, I hadn't even finished it and I was just trying it on for length, and it got caught on like the little buckly bit of my bra strap. One of the floats got caught on the buckle bit of my bra strap. So I did fix it, and I recorded myself fixing it, but I've just got to do a little intro and then edit it and upload it. So it took me 16 minutes to fix it, because I thought I'll just time myself, like record from the start without any prep work and see just how long it takes me to actually fix it. So, you know, a half a second pull and 16 minutes, it's not that bad, but it was a little bit tedious and finicky, but I got there. So I'll show you, this is it from the front. And what had happened was one of these, this is the front, but when the float pulled, it sort of yanked all of the yarn and compressed all of these on the back. But you can see here, they all look the same. I can't even remember which side it was. I think it was my left side, which is this side here. So a couple of these were small, but after fixing it and blocking it, because I just blocked it last night, they're totally fine. So, and I'll show you on the inside. So let me see, where's the back? There's the back. You can see here that I had one float that was just enormous, and they're all back in normal now. So yeah, really happy that, you know, that was fixable, because even if you couldn't tell too much with the motif being compressed, I still had this really long float that was going to keep getting caught and would also potentially end up getting, like, actually breaking, and then I'd really have to be in more trouble there. So yeah, so that's Alpine Bloom. I am really happy with how that came out, and I will enjoy wearing that. Probably that's a good, because it's wool, but it's fingering weight wool. I think that's a really good sort of spring, because I wear it with pants, like a spring or fall top. It feels very spring, doesn't it, with the colour, the pink. So yes, very, really happy with that, and really happy with how the variegation plays out in that design. So, and it was really well, like Caitlin Hunter's patterns, they're well written and without errors. They're really, yeah, really good, and love it. And I really like the version, she did another version with like a different neckline treatment, Autumn Alpine I think it's called. I like that one too, so I might make that at some point. Right, so that was just that little bit again on my finished object. So I will show you my works in progress. So I have two new works in progress. One of them is the Oslo Hat with Mohair. I decided to knit another one. So I finished this one here out of Isia. I already showed this last podcast. Isia Highland wool and their silk mohair, and I really like it, really happy with that. And so I cast on exactly the same number of stitches, 112 stitches on a 3.25mm needle, and I did a provisional cast on because that makes it easier when you, when I can't even tell when you knit the provisional cast on with where you're ready to fold it. So, because that's double thick. So, and then when you fold it up, that's a triple brim, so it's really warm. So I did as before, provisional cast on, and then the yarn I'm using is some, I do like using new yarn, which makes it a bit sad for the poor yarn that's still sitting in stash, but I'll talk about that later when it comes to my plans. I do plan to get to use some of my stash yarn. So this is a yarn that I bought from KMS from the markets in Kyoto. This is an opal base, but it's got like a sparkle in it. And then this is some leftovers. This is Rowan Kidsilk Haze, I think in the colorway Nectar. And I had about a ball left over from my sorrel, which I took to Japan as well, which was very happy with that. So yes, I thought those two together would look nice. I've really only just barely started. Maybe I've done provisional cast on, and I think I'm on row 3 now. So, but that's really nice portable knitting. So that's my first new cast on. And my second new cast on is another pair of Skimmer socks. And this is in some yarn that's, I don't know that they're still dyeing, 3 Mums yarn, and so it's leftovers. I only have 32.8 grams, and so my other Skimmer socks together were 33 grams, so probably won't quite have enough. So, but I should be fine to get all of the socks, except maybe I'll do the last row of the ribbing and the bind off with some kind of contrast color, and I'll try and pick out some. I've got so many little balls of leftover yarn, so I'll pick out maybe that hot pink, or maybe that lime green, or maybe one in each, maybe that blue, that's really pretty blue. So I thought that'd be nice to just have one row and the bind off in a different color, and I did that on one of my other ones when I didn't quite have enough yarn. So yeah, I like how that's sort of striping up, and it just makes me happy. This is a nice thing, like I like using leftovers, and I also like, you know, like using pretty happy yarn. So, and then this is 2 days of like 2 walks. So I got about this much done in one walk, and then about this much done in today's walk. So these just kind of like, as I'm walking and knitting, they progress. So, and I have 2 other works in progress. One I'm wearing. I am sorry about the background noise. I hope you don't mind. Like, this is just my life, and it's school holidays, and it's the 3rd of January, so lots of people are home from work. I think actually the whole family is home today, and we have a visitor. And 16-year-old boys are very noisy, so I am sure you are hearing them. So yeah, so I do apologise, but it's just how it is, or I don't record at the moment. So, and I'd like to get this done, so yeah, hopefully it's not too noisy. So my 3rd work in progress, which I've got on as I'm trying on, it's not finished yet. This is an Anker summer shirt. I made this before in Katia Spiga in like a blue colour. I'm making another version in this Habu bamboo. It's 100% bamboo. I have not blocked it yet. I'm using a slightly smaller needle. I'm using just got a tank on underneath, a 3.5mm needle all over, because I want, it's just a little bit big. My gauge, sorry. The gauge for the pattern is 20 stitches over 4 inches. And I think with this I was getting, after blocking, about 18 stitches over 4 inches. So I haven't blocked it yet, but I'm about to, because I know it's going to grow, and I want it kind of a bit oversized. So it should be, like at the moment it doesn't look like it has any ease. It looks pretty much like no ease. But I think after I block it, it's going to be a little bit, it tends to grow in length, but it'll probably also grow a little bit. At least my swatch grew a bit in width too. And yes, I'd like to just, and you can sort of see this white shirt underneath it, but I won't, like normally I'll just have I think a black bra underneath this, so you shouldn't see anything underneath, but because I've got something white on underneath, you can see that poking through. And I added a few short rows, because there's 4 sections of ribbing, I added short rows, 2 short rows, so 1 pair under each of the 4 sections, so that way the neck is not too, you know, it's a little bit, I mean, it's because it's sort of sticking to the white shirt, it's not sitting the way that it would normally, right? It normally wouldn't have anything to grab onto. So I think that should be fine. And it's a summerish kind of knit. This is a fairly heavy yarn, but it is a plant fiber. So I'll probably wear this with black pants, and again wear it as like a mid-season sort of, or a spring. Actually, it's kind of a fall. It's kind of a fall project really. And I just think it's going to be kind of like, I don't mind a whole sort of a black charcoal all over look with boots. So yeah, definitely, and this will be fine for work. As for the length of the sleeves, I haven't decided yet. I'll have a little think. I might make them elbow length. I might just make them short. I'll have a bit of a think after I've blocked it and I sort of try it on, and I'll probably try it on with the black pants and try to get a visual of what it's going to look like as to how long I make the sleeves. I can hear my son and his friend downstairs, so I'm sure you probably can too. But they're having fun. They're playing. They're not just on video games. They're playing ping, which they often are. But at least now when they're in person, because they play like remotely. But at the moment they're in person. They're actually playing physically ping pong and darts and stuff together. So, and they might jump in the pool too, because it is sorry, it is hot here. I don't want to tell them to be quiet though, because it's like they're having fun. So yeah, anyway, I hope it's not too bad, and if it is, I'm sorry. They probably won't be here next week. Oh, I do have one more work in progress, and that is Dotted Rays. So this is all I've got. This is Dotted Rays by Stephen West. This is all I've got left of the first ball of Dingo Dyeworks Jumbuck, which is just a single ply fingering weight, very similar to Tosh Merino Light. And yeah, it's coming along pretty nicely. I'll try to keep my, yeah, I really like it. I think it's just a lovely shawl. It wears really well. You won't really be able to see it properly until it's finished. But this is the second version of this pattern that I'm making. I really like the sort of the scalloping with the eyelets. A lot of people have done it where each section they've done in different colors. I'm not really into that. I like it in some things. It didn't really grab me in this. I don't know why, it just didn't, yeah. yeah, I didn't like it. I like it, my last one I did in 2 colors where I sort of gradiated between the first and the second, and I like that. And then this one's just 1 color, but it's got these speckles of pink in a gray, and it's really nice. Yeah, so that's my last work in progress. That's 4 works in progress. I forgot to mention with this top, I am making this even smaller than, actually it ended up about the smallest size, XS. I cast on with about 4 stitches less from the extra small, which was a 33.5-inch bust circumference. But I added an extra raglan increase and kind of all cast on maybe 2 less. Maybe I've got 4 less stitches than the XS in total for the body. But my gauge is bigger, so we'll see when I've finished what it actually ends up in. But in terms of the pattern size, I'm knitting pretty close to the smallest size, which is XS and a size 33.5 inches. And yes, hopefully, I find with plant fibers, I can't work too much on this all at once. It is a bit hard on my hands. So that's another reason I need more like wool. You know, like the sock's actually a bit hard because they're pretty dense, but the hat and the dotted rays, they're my projects that are just mostly wool and easier on my hands. Right, so that's it for my works in progress, just those 4, 1 hat, 1 sock, 1 shawl, and 1 plant fiber top. Right, so I'm up to Friend from the Vault. So this is where I show you some kind of knit that I did earlier, and I thought I'd show you these gloves. Now I took these to Japan. I didn't actually end up wearing them because I don't think it was quite warm enough. It was either warm enough when we were in Kyoto and Osaka that I didn't need gloves, and then when we were in the ski resort, I needed ski gloves. So these are kind of good for sort of in between temperatures, like sort of around 5 degrees Celsius. So these are the Knotty gloves. I knit these in 2010, so I don't knit it. I think this is the only actual pair of gloves that I've ever knit. And I used Madelinetosh Sock yarn. Yeah, their actual sock, which is their 4-ply yarn that has a very tight twist. And I really enjoyed knitting this part, like the little cable bit. Didn't love doing the fingers. Like I knit this a long time ago, so I don't even know if I did such a great job of the tops of the fingers. I think they're just they're not grafted, they're just pulled together. At least that's what I'm looking at now. Yeah, they're like pulled together in a point like the top of a hat. Yeah, so they have a gusset for the thumb and obviously individual fingers. So you can imagine, actually it only took me about 3 weeks to knit it. I think these have been left somewhere with some sun getting on them. Can you see how that color there is faded? So I think I might have like left them out sort of somewhere on a table and it got sun damaged. So I mean, I could over dye them. That'd be all right, black actually, and maybe I'd wear them more often if they were black, because the pink's a bit of a statement color. I actually don't mind that. I don't like knitting with black yarn, but over dyeing something black afterwards, well, that's totally fine. And then it would hopefully take care of the fact that the color's a bit different. So this pattern is by Julia Mueller, and it's a free pattern. So if you're someone who's into knitting gloves and you like actually doing the whole process, yeah, it was a nice. I can actually remember it was a nice pattern. I just was like, it's a bit too fiddly for me, and we don't have a lot of need for gloves in. And obviously now with everyone with their phones, like it wasn't such an issue in 2010. But like if you can't actually text, so I end up, if I do knit anything, I usually knit fingerless gloves, which is kind of fine for our weather. And then also keeps your fingers free. But anyway, I thought I'd show you. That's my Friend for the Vault for this week. Right, so I'm up to purchases. So I made a few purchases, no yarn purchases this week because I bought a bit when I was in Japan, but I bought some patterns. So firstly, I want to start with, I bought 2 patterns from Jennifer Steingass. So she put out a post recently on it, because I've talked about her before. I've knit a number of her designs, either as sweaters or tops, or sweaters that I've turned into dresses, and I love her patterns, and they're really well written, and you know, everything works and they're great. So, but she hasn't designed anything pretty much for the last 2 years, and has been quite quiet on social media and Ravelry and wherever, which is, and just sort of like out of the blue. Anyway, so she posted on Instagram a few days ago that she had been really sick and was spending a lot of time recovering, but she's back now and looking forward to designing again. And so she's got a sale on at the moment. I'm not sure for how long, it doesn't mention when the sale ends. she's always had like a buy two get one free kind of deal on Ravelry, which is really generous. But at the moment it's buy one get one free. So into my purchases, I had some in my queue that I've been meaning to make, and they were Avena and Forsythian. So they're two patterns that I think are really lovely, but I've struggled to find, or at least sort of cement yarn for them, and because of that I hadn't bought the patterns. I was like, no, I'll wait till I've kind of got yarn for it and then I'll buy the pattern. But because she has this 1-for-1 sale and she's back and I wanted to support her, I thought I'll buy those two now and then I'll figure out yarn later, which is not that uncommon for me. So, but I have a number of her patterns still as well that I haven't knit. So I thought, well, hang on, I know I want to make them, but I don't have the yarn sorted, so I'll wait. But it seemed like a good time. So if you have any Jennifer Steingass patterns in your queue, or that you want to go over and have a look, I would recommend getting them now while they're buy one get one free. The other two patterns that I bought was, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, FJOLLA, Fioya. That doesn't sound right at all. Anyway, that's a pattern by Isabel Kramer. So she had a pattern sale, I think it was 50% off. I had a really good look through her designs. Most of them, the neckline is a bit wide for me. But with this one, it's not as wide and it just looks really good. So the pattern is knit using my yak baby yak lace held double. So I thought, I don't have any of that in stash. I thought I could purchase that, or I know some people have used Rowan felted tweed, and I actually have, let me see, where is it? I'll just grab it. I have a really nice navy Rowan felted tweed. I have 10 balls of this actually, so I have tons of that. So I could use that for it. Or there's a lady, Mindful Making is her podcast, and she lives here, and she's a Dane living in Sydney. She sells yarn as well. She sells Holstgarn, Coast and Titicaca. Anyway, I noticed a number of people have held those two together, Titicaca and Holstgarn Coast. And that looks really nice as well. And because she's in Australia, so it'd be pretty easy for me to order from her. So I haven't decided, but I thought, look, I'll get, while Isabel Kramer's having a sale on, I'll buy it now. So I bought, I don't want to say it again, FJOLLA. And I don't know whether L's sound like the Y, but then J sounds like a Y. Fiola, maybe, Fiola, that sounds all right. I probably should have done made Google tell it to me. Anyway, I didn't. So, and my last pattern purchase was Magnolia Bloom by Camilla Vad. So she had a 40% off sale, and I thought, okay, that's one that I've been planning to knit. I don't quite have the yarn lined up, but I wanted to buy that pattern, so I bought that. So let me see. I do actually want to talk a little bit about Camilla Vad, because I mentioned when I made the Grayson hat, I sent a message to her asking about the decrease row, because it was a little bit confusing for me anyway, and other people had written in Ravelry that they were a bit confused, and she didn't reply. So that seemed to be a theme across Ravelry, that that she doesn't really reply to Ravelry messages, and her website was down, so I couldn't message her through there. Although I did notice her website is now up, so she's probably been spending a lot of time getting her website ready, and maybe that will change. But she has put a lot of patterns out. There have been errors in the pattern. She's very clear that there may be errors, but then she also says there's no refunds. So here's a pattern, there may well be errors, but you can't get your money back, and I won't reply to emails. So it feels a bit odd to me. And I don't know whether the language barrier is an issue, because let's say I was a pattern designer and I write my design in English, and then I pay for someone to translate it, and I pay for someone to translate it into Norwegian and someone else to translate it into French and whatever. Then if somebody messages me in that language, I can't answer that. And so am I then obliged to get someone to pay for someone to translate every message? So yeah, I just wonder, I wonder if that's unrealistic to expect a designer where English isn't their first language to reply to the messages. And I guess if you know going ahead that you're not going to get answers to your messages then, or at least not, it's not possible for the designer to do that because that's not her first language, or she's not as fluent in it to be able to answer the questions, maybe that's an unreasonable expectation. But I think it's important to know going in that you won't necessarily get pattern support. So yeah, but maybe as her business grows, that might be something that she might be able to provide that support in a few languages. English is probably the most common one. That's sort of the one that most designers, if they're going to translate it into another language, they'll translate it into English. But I think Danish patterns are written very differently to English patterns, so she might think that's all that you need for the pattern because that works for a Danish pattern, but it's not the same as what English pattern readers or whatever expect. I don't know. I'm not set in my mind around that, but I think it's really important to be aware going in. So if you buy Camilla Vad patterns, at the moment there doesn't seem to be pattern support. She does seem to reply a little bit on Instagram sometimes, so that might be, if you're really desperate, might be a way to be able to get hold of her, and perhaps with her new website there might actually be another avenue to ask questions. Anyway, that's enough on that. I just thought I'd mention it. The only other purchase that I made was not knitting related, but I went into the city with my friend Amy and we got a soldered bracelet, which is one where and it's just got like a little teeny speck of a diamond there, and they actually they actually put there's no clasp is what I'm saying, so it's been soldered on. And yeah, it's very delicate and fine and really pretty. It keeps flipping around. I'm getting used to having it. I keep thinking I've got a hair tie on my wrist. But yeah, I like it. It's pretty. I do sometimes wear gold jewelry. That was a little bit iffy about, but I thought it's so delicate it doesn't matter if I'm wearing gold. The fact that I have this on as well is fine. Yep, so that's all that I've purchased this week. So what I'm going to get into now is what has caught my eye. So I've been watching a few videos on people's 2023 wrap-ups. I particularly like the ones from those twins who knit. They did an accessories one, and then they just recently did a garments one. I haven't finished watching the garments one, but I've really been enjoying their podcast, and I really like their style and their aesthetic. And yeah, so I've been inspired by a few things there. So from their accessories one, I noticed, because they knit quite a few hats, the Stockholm hat by Petite Knit. I think it was Rachel who knit that. It actually reminds me a lot of the Manhattan hat. It looks quite similar to the Manhattan hat. So I'm not sure if they're different or not. And then I also noticed the Weekend hat, which also seems like another one by one rib. And then the hipster hat, which just looks like the Weekend hat, but with 2x2. So there's so many patterns that I sort of think, oh, is that really any different to that? So, not that I'm saying anyone's copying, but I'm just saying, if I've got this hat, why would I buy the Stockholm hat when it looks kind of like this one? So you pick one and then you make that one. Similar to the Oslo hat and the Oslo hat with Mohair. That is the same designer, but you really don't need both patterns. What was it? There was a pattern that somebody had, oh yeah. So I saw a designer who had like a heavyweight version of a jumper and then a lighter weight version. I think it was Teddy Lutzak, the Purpurea sweater, where if you already had the heavier weight version, you got a discount off the lighter version. It just automatically, there must be some kind of auto thing. Like if that's in your library, when you go to order another one, that you get a discount on the second version. And I like that. So I think it would be nice if designers who do one design that's almost the same as another with maybe a tiny gauge difference, and effectively it's this whole same construction, rather than charge another full price, say, well, if you already have this pattern, maybe a discount on the second one, you might actually get more people buying the second pattern. Anyway, so that's why I thought the Stockholm hat has caught my eye, but given it looks like this, maybe there's not much point to buying it anyway. The other hat that did look quite sweet, and it's actually in my queue, but it just reminded me, was the Grow hat by Fiber Tales. Jessica knit that one and it looked really pretty, just very cute. The other thing that I was thinking about was the Breeze bag. Now, I don't really knit bags, that's just seems, but then I used to never knit socks. And I used to think, why would I knit socks? So I have knit a couple of bags, but not for a while, and not for a long while. But this breeze bag just looks like a really lovely, it looks kind of crocheted, looks like a great beach bag. So, and I do have some Cascade Ultra Pima in a beige sort of color that I think, you know, so that would be really nice. I could, you know, buy yarn for it, but like I have some yarn that's actually in stash that would work. So yeah, I'm thinking about that. So it's what's caught my eye. I do have some yarn that might work for it. Another pattern that they showed was the lace leaf pullover. I can't remember who it's by, but they've done each, both Rachel and Jessica had knit that pattern, and it just had this really lovely lace around the yoke. So that one caught my eye as well. It looked really pretty. What are the other things that I've written that, now two things that I mentioned last week that caught my eye. The herringbone jumper. I put a little bit more attention into looking up what is used for that pattern, and it said it used 2 strands of alpaca 2, so Isia yarn, 2 strands of alpaca 2 and 1 strand of soft silk mohair, and like yards and yards and yards of it. Like it was going to be like 3,000 meters or something, so it was going to be extremely expensive and extremely hot. So and very oversized. So even though I love it and I think it's beautiful, I have to really think, could I even wear that? When would I wear that? Where? Maybe only for a few weeks of the year. So I still like it, but I wouldn't be rushing out to buy yarn for it just at the moment. Maybe if there was a sale or something on that Isia yarn, maybe then. And maybe I should make a little note of that and be like, if that comes on sale, like 20% off or something, maybe then I'd get yarn for it. And obviously that's a lot of knitting. The other one was the Purpurea sweater light version by Teddy Lutzak that I had mentioned last podcast in the Japan video. That one looks fantastic, but that's also a ton of yarn, like, because it's all over in its cables. I didn't even mind the fact that it was a wide neckline, but I thought maybe I'd have to knit a hood or something to go with it. But that also was a lot of yarn. I mean, a pretty basic, like just a fingering weight with a soft silk, with like a silk mohair held together, but still, I think it was maybe 1,500 meters of each. So like that's four full skeins of a fingering weight, 100 gram fingering weight yarn, and yeah, like maybe 7 balls of mohair. It was, so again, very expensive. And then that's not even for a hood. Like that would be the sweater, and then if I wanted to do a hood as well. Anyway, so those two, even though they caught my eye and I was thinking about moving them into plans, they won't be anytime soon. The other 2 things that have caught my eye are colours. So Sanders Garn Poppy, which I think Petite Knit used for that poppy sweater, that like short sleeve top that she designed. I love that. I actually have a short sleeve top in sort of that colour, a commercial bought one, and it's starting to, like, because it's knit fabric, it's just starting to stretch out of shape and die. I've had it for maybe about 10 years. So I wouldn't mind actually knitting one of those and replacing that in my wardrobe. But I'd have to get, I really like that colour and that yarn. So, and the other colour, which was also inspired by those twins who knit, inspired a lot by them, is the Sanders Garn Almond colour. That looks like a really lovely neutral. So, and I also, my relatives from the US are coming out again. They're coming at the end of February. So it's always good for me to have a little list of, you know, yarn that I might purchase. And so those 2 colours, and Sanders Garn, I don't even know of anyone in Australia that sells Sanders Garn. So, and I think I bought it from Wool & Co and had it shipped to them, and I think Wool & Co might even have free shipping. So anyway, that's my, that's some colours that caught my eye. And the other thing, this doesn't really have a place, but it's just something that I've noticed. A number of designers, when they write the name of their pattern out, they put a space between every letter. So if it was like garland, for example, it would be G space, A space, R space. And it just, I don't understand this. Like, not everyone does it, but the designers who do it, they seem to do it for all of their patterns. Does it stand out more? Obviously you can't search for it then, because it's not one word anymore, it's a whole bunch of single letters. It just puzzles me. Why? Does anyone know, why do people do this? Is it so that it will you'll notice it better? It stands out more? It stands out, but in an irritating way to me. I have to say, I'm not, you know, strongly irritated, but I don't understand it. Why not just, it's one word, write it as one word. Why all the spaces in between? Anyway, that's enough on that. I'm up to my plans now. So I am going to do a video with my sort of 2023 wrap up, and because I think it actually would be helpful for me as well to sort of have a look at how much I knit, what I knit, have I really filled the holes in my wardrobe, and to be a bit more mindful about my plans for 2024. So I'll only have a few small plans in here of ones that I'm absolutely going to knit and I've got the yarn for, and there's no question about it. But I would like to, and I will, have a bit of a plan for what else will fill holes in my wardrobe, and also start using some of my stash yarn. So I pulled out, just earlier today, I pulled out a whole bunch of yarn from my stash, one skein of everything that I have that is like a sweater quantity, or enough that could be either a whole top or a sweater, or put together to make a sweater. So, and there was a lot, and I really would like to use the yarn that I have, but I don't just want to knit it and just to knit it and get it out of stash. If I'm not inspired to make something with it, and I want to be thoughtful before I put it back in stash and say, okay, you're not ready to become a sweater now. If I've fallen out of love with the color, maybe I'll de-stash it. Anyway, I just want to be a little bit more mindful. I don't have as much time going forward this year. My work schedule is increasing, and so, you know, which means my free time for knitting or crafting or whatever will definitely be decreasing. So the time that I do have, that's why I'm thinking like the Breeze bag, for example. Is that how I want to spend my time? I like the bag, I'd love to have it, but do I want that over other things? Maybe I do, maybe one, you know, not sure. But, you know, I want to be like, yes, am I going to use that? Is that really, you know, an item that I'm like, yes, I can't wait to have it. So onto my plans though, ones that I'm definitely going to make after I finish the dotted rays. I'm definitely going to make the half and half wrap. I'm just going to grab my my yarn. Right, so the yarn for the half and half wrap is Pearl Soho in the colorway, I think it's Red Poppy and Baby Bird Blue. So I've got that already ready to go. I've got 3 skeins of each, so that's a very large project, and that's just going to be my couch knitting once I get started. I've done my little swatch, and I think it's going to be really nice. So that is a definite plan, and I'm ready to go as soon as Dotted Rays is finished. I'm definitely going to make Snow Wonder. That's another purchase, but I want to make this so much. Excuse me. It's a beautiful sweater by Heidi Kirmar. I've already bought the pattern, and I only need 3 skeins of this the Rerum Natura Gilliatt in the colorway Ciel. I love it, and I just want that cozy bobbly sweater for this winter. So I've got to buy 3 skeins, and that's a definite plan. So Sunspun are closed until the 15th of January, so I have to wait till they open, and they don't actually have any of this in stock, so I'll have to be ordered. And so when that comes in, or I think if they can order it for me, then I'll start that once I get that. I still want to make the Carnaby skirt by Nicole Laura in Rowan Felted Tweed held double. Maybe, I don't know. I think that's what I want this yarn to be. I've got 10 skeins of this yarn. That is 1,750 meters. That is a lot of yarn. So I could hold it double for the Carnaby skirt, or I could get some mohair with it, and it would be a really lovely sweater. Like I love that chocolate brown color. Don't think I even have a sweater in this kind of color. So yeah, I'd obviously need to get a mohair for it because I don't have a mohair in that color, but I'm debating. So I'll either make the Carnaby skirt with it, or I'll have a think about that for a nice chocolate brown sweater. I think I might want that more, but I love the idea of like a chocolate brown skirt with like a cream top and boots, and anyway, options. Definitely gonna make, another thing, I'd like to make another, besides the Oslo hat with mohair that I just cast on, I plan to make some with this, sorry, just dropped a ball, where'd it go? Yep. Sorry, under the desk. With this fossil, Brooklyn Tweed Loft in Fossil with this Daruma silk mohair, but I also bought that cashmere from Avril Pepin, and I was wondering about whether those 3 together might look really nice for an Oslo hat with mohair. well, Oslo Hat with mohair and cashmere. I don't know. So this is 20 grams. I've got about the same yardage in each. This is 20 grams, this is 25 grams, this is 55 grams. So that would be like 100 grams. So it's definitely plenty for the hat. I'm just not sure what my gauge would be like. But I don't really want to bother knitting a swatch. So obviously it would be holding 3 strands together, but I think it would be like really nice and heathered with those 3 colors together. What do you reckon? Should I bother holding the cashmere, or should I just save that for holding with something else and just do these 2 together? I'd love to hear your thoughts. So that's a potential. It's definitely going to be an Oslo Hat with mohair. It's just whether I also add the cashmere or not. Not sure. I obviously need to go up a needle size and maybe cast on left stitches, like maybe 104 instead of 112, and maybe a 3.75mm needle. Might just wing it, I don't know, and then just sort of see how it's turning out. But I just think that would be really nice to use all of that. That's all Japan yarn, those 3 together. Other things are camisole number 4. I've done my swatch, and so that's knitting for Olive pure silk, and that's which is the right side, a double rib. And once I finish, because I don't want to have 2 plant fibers on the needles, it's just a bit too hard on my hands. Actually, the pure silk wasn't too bad, but it's not as easy as wool, right? There's no wool content in this. It's fully just silk, so that's not plant fiber, is it? But it's not wool anyway. It doesn't have the same elasticity. So, but I do want to make that. That is definitely going to happen. And the Kuta top by Sari Nordland, using this this color actually, Sanders Garn Tin Lena. That is another one, but I won't start both of those. I think I'll probably start this one first. Oh, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think I'll probably start this one first once the Anker shirt is done. Now, the stripe hype sweater. Let me see. I got some feedback that maybe the pink was a little bit too full on. I've already put it somewhere else, but I still am pretty keen to make the stripe hype sweater, and I'd like to make it out of stash. So I'm thinking this on the top, this on the top, then this is my cream. This is Madelinetosh Sport in Winter Wheat, and like it's sport, but it's a heavy sport, right? And then this is Twist DK, and then that would go underneath, and then this one underneath that, obviously separated by the cream. This is Madelinetosh DK Twist in the colorway Neon Red, which is my other Oslo hat I use this one for. And then for the sleeves, this is Madelinetosh MCN Fingering in Bloomsbury, so I'd hold that double. And then I went stash diving, and I was mentally thinking I needed 70 grams for the contrast colors, but I don't. I actually need 70 meters, about 35 grams. So I found this Cascade 220 in, this is left over from one of my kids' crochet blankets. So that would be like the 2 sleeve colors. But you actually finish with this because it's lit top down, and even though you've got the trim at the neckline in pink, at least that's what I would be doing, you actually do the neckline last. You sort of do all of this here, and then you knit the pick-up stitches and knit the neckline later. So that is, I didn't say, it's the Stripe Hype Sweater by Veronica Lindberg, who is Kutivakika. So I still plan to make that. Other plans that I'm thinking about is I've got a co-worker at work who is due with her first baby in May. So I'd like to knit something for her. And May here is heading into winter, so maybe a cardigan or a sweater for like a 3-month size. So that's kind of just in my head as well, thinking about that coming up. And the other things, this last one was I mentioned last week about the Marseille sweater by Petite Knit, but I also saw the Sunday SUNDE sweater by November Knits. Those two are kind of like a striped sweater. They both look quite similar with like a folded collar, but the Marseille sweater has drop shoulders and the Sunday sweater has raglan increases. And I think I like the look of the Sunday sweater. That was on those Twins Who Knit as well. And so I'm leaning towards that one. So that probably should be a bit more in what's caught my eye rather than plans, because I'm not sure about the yarn first, but it's definitely something I'm thinking about because I'm in the sort of the groove for a striped sweater. Right, I'm getting a bit sort of not too much, so I'm just going to try and wrap it up quickly. Other craft, I haven't actually done any weaving or sewing yet, but I plan to. I found this yarn in my stash that is like, I think it's 200 grams because I bought 2 like balls of it. It is Perfect Day Yarns. She doesn't dye anymore. I've had this for over 10 years. And it's bamboo haiku sock, and it's 1,000 yards. And it's a superwash merino and bamboo. And even though I like the colors, they're so variegated. When I started knitting a swatch, I just didn't like it. And I think for this might look really nice in a woven scarf. And because I have 1,000 yards, I think I would do both the warp and the weft with this. So when I warp up the loom, hopefully this week or weekend, what is it today, Wednesday, sometime between now and next Wednesday, I'm going to warp it up with this and also use it for the weft as well. So we'll see how that goes. Yep, I haven't shown any weaving yet on the podcast. So I have an Ashford Knitter's loom, which is a rigid heddle loom, 60 centimeters, I think. Yes, so that is a weaving plan, and the other one is a sewing plan. I've cut out the pattern. It is Frances by Fibre Mood. It's just that top. That doesn't look so pretty with that fancy skirt, but it's a really basic top. There's only 3 pieces, a front and a back. You need some elastic for those sort of sleeves, and then bias for the neckline. So that's my sewing plans coming up. Hopefully I'll have that done this week as well. I'm not sure about the fabric, but I've probably got something in stash because it doesn't use a lot. Right, so that's my non-knitting plans. So in my other video, which will go up on the weekend, we went to Japan for 2 weeks. I'll mention more about that in that video. We got home on December the 24th. It was a really good flight. I managed to get like 3 seats and was actually able to lie horizontal and sleep, which was fantastic. I went to, and so because I slept, we had a Christmas Eve church service that night, and I went to that. They had a 5 p.m. service and 11 p.m. My daughter went to the 11 p.m. because she was on sound. She like does a lot of the tech work, and I went to the 5 p.m. So I was able to manage for that one, but I couldn't have stayed up till 11. And then we had Christmas here with our 5 in our family, plus my mum and Alex's boyfriend came. And then Boxing Day, which is the day after Christmas, was Mia's 21st birthday. So I was able to give her a lot of her presents from Japan, and then she went off camping for a week. And so then I recorded on the 27th, was the last video, and then now Wednesdays are going to be my recording day from now on. So what I've been up to the last week, mostly just lots of like jobs around the house that get left until I've finished, like until I've got a big chunk of time, like cleaning out the pantry and cleaning out the broom cupboard. But I get kind of a bit, I get a bit bummed if I clean for too long. So this is like my strategy that I sort of started when the kids were little. Let's say however many hours I have, if it's 2 hours, I'll clean for half an hour and then knit for half an hour, and then I'll, you know, tidy something up and hang out the washing and do jobs for half an hour, and then I'll do, so then I don't feel guilty for spending too much time crafting, and maybe I've mentioned this already. If I have, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. And I also don't feel resentful for spending too much time doing jobs. So, and then the ratio will depend. Like if I've got a lot of jobs to do, maybe it's 40 minutes on jobs and 20 minutes on knitting. You know, anyway, I just find that really helps me. It also it means I'm not doing too much knitting in one time frame. That's better on my hands as well. Okay, I'm going to wrap up now because everybody wants to, I record kind of in the middle of the house, so I think the boys want to go swimming and get themselves ready. So the only other things that I've been doing is I've been, my husband and I have been watching a show called Slow Horses, an English series, and it's really good. I'm really enjoying that. And I think we finished the first season, we're on to the second season now. And the other thing I've been reading is my son for school has to read Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. And so I've, just to help encourage him, I've started reading that. It's quite a short book actually. And as I was reading it, I was like, gee, this reminds me of State of Wonder by Anne Patchett. And then I thought, this is so similar in style and even content. I Googled it and I was like, oh yes, she was inspired by Heart of Darkness. So it's quite funny to read the book that inspired someone after you've already read their book. But yes, I'm actually enjoying that. He doesn't love it. The language is a bit flowery, but I get into that. I actually it's slow reading, but I really enjoy it, and I can knit and read at the same time, so that's nice. Right, so I'm just going to try and zoom through this week coming up. I've just got I'm going for walks with friends. I've got 2 walks lined up tomorrow and the next day. So there are a lot of friends I only sort of get to catch up in the school holidays, and I either try to go out for dinner or go for walks. And I'm going out to dinner tonight. So my friend Gloria and I are going to a restaurant called Barker Payne, and the only time that we could get a dinner reservation was 4:15 p.m. So that's like total nana, it's like practically lunch. So total nana time, and it's about 3 p.m. now, so I haven't even bothered having lunch because I'm like, dinner's at 4:15. Right, so that's what I've got tonight, and then just walks with friends, and I will maybe on the weekend walk up the loom and do some sewing. I've got sewing planned for Friday, so yes, I've got some, and then I really need to get started on some schoolwork on next week. And I'm hoping actually that either I'll get to go visit my friend Beck in Brisbane, or she's going to come here to visit. So either way, we're going to catch up together in person. Those of you who've been watching for a while, you know that I've had a couple of episodes with Beck. We went to Bendigo together. We did another one when she was here in Sydney. And so yeah, hopefully we'll get another recording in a couple of weeks actually. So yes, all right. It's been a long one. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, and I'll see you next week. Bye.